across this country. And he will be missed. And you know, for the folks at Miller Coors, he definitely left a lasting impact.
Well, I just want to go along with what he was saying. I'm Patrick's sister-in-law and a very good friend. My name is Cindy, and Patrick. Oh. I just graduated from medical school, and I was trying to figure out life, and it's really hard for me, and I wanted to do things on my own. And he was listening to me over and over, and he's like, you know, I'm going to fly you out to LA, and I have this place, and I'm just going to come out, Cindy. I'm like, I don't have money to go to LA. What are you talking about? Just graduate from med school, I have $250,000 in student loans. He's like, don't worry about it. Get yourself on the plane, and we're going to make it a week. And I came out, and he just showed me the place. He took me to Hollywood Studios. He told me about, this is what you're going to do. And we sat at a table. He goes, you're going to make a plan. Everything was a goal with Patrick. He's like, we're going to make a plan, and we're gonna do this. And Cindy, every day we're going to figure out how you're going to go forward to being a great doctor. And took me parasailing, and he just wanted me and others just to see the positive side of life. No matter what you do, just if you have to pick up and move, do it with stride and with love and with joy. And that's why he kind of came out to New York, because, you know, he really loved his family in New York, and he just wanted to do that. But in California, he found ways to really find a different side to himself. And we went out running and jogging, and he was a very creative guy. And every person here, he always mentioned to me. Every little story. Every story had a face. And he was very deep with everybody here. So he was deep with me, and he made it a long-lasting impact. And he's just a wonderful guy. He really is. But yeah, that's my story. Thank you.
My name is Terry Scott, and I worked with Patrick with the CASH program, which is a college where it symbolizes hope. He was one of our mentors. And I believe Bill told me we had part of the video shown here. I actually wanted to share something one of the students, I told the students about his passing, said to me. He said, "Dear Tyrone, so sorry to hear the loss of Patrick. My heart truly goes out, because I knew Patrick as a student. Even though he was never my mentor, but Patrick always used to amaze me by giving a word of advice. I will always remember getting to CASH a little earlier. I would always usually never have profit. So I'll start over. This student is Quincy Tyler. He's one of our graduates from last year. He's a freshman in college right now. He said, "Dear Tyrone, we're so sorry to hear the loss of Patrick. My heart truly goes out, because I knew him as a student. Even though he was never my mentor, Patrick always amazed me by giving words of advice. I will always remember getting to CASH a little early, and I would sit in the corner with my friends from school, and Patrick would come over to us and always ask what we did in school, and his favorite question was, what are your new goals?" Patrick will truly be missed by us all. I am so sorry for the loss. My heart truly goes out to his family and friends, but he goes on to say that he doesn't like to say goodbye or farewell. There's a poem, which I won't read, but he attached the poem at the end of that. I knew Patrick for 5 years, working with him during the CASH program, and as you probably saw in that video, he truly believed in what he did, working with the students. This is a Friday night, guys. This is a program that meets from 6 to 8 p.m., and he would be there. He would always tell me, "I'm going to be a part-time mentor this year. I don't have time," but he was there every Friday with his students. And so the team that he had this past year, 2013, and actually another thing with Patrick, the joke was when he started the program, his first year, his team won first place in the case competition in June. Second year, his team won second place in the case competition. So by the third year, we said, there's a pattern. I told the students, when mentors introduce themselves, I said, you want to be on this guy's team. Somebody's going to win something from his team. And so in the video that's showing here, he's imitating me, because I used to always do this thing about my school, Ohio State. So when you see him in the video saying, the Ohio State, that's him. And the whole program got the joke and said, okay, he's imitating Tyrone. And there's also a video of him recognizing his students at graduation this past year, saying, it was a joy working with these guys this year. This was my favorite group. Everybody immediately started laughing. I don't say this every year, but this is my favorite. He said it every year. A different group every year, but he always said the same thing. And it just speaks to how truly an amazing man he was. And he truly cared about our mission and helping these students to change their lives and to have a good life and to understand the importance of going to college and getting their education. And as Quincy said here, you know, what are your new goals? That was truly what he was. He's going to be missed. And one more thing, we're going to have an annual scholarship for the National Black MBA for the CASH program in Patrick's name that we're going to be starting as of this year's class.
Good.
My name is Kim Morgan, and I'm actually a classmate from Fordham in the business school with Patrick. And Tyrone provides a really nice segue into what I'd like to say about Patrick. And that is my first year in the CASH program. And for those of you who are not aware, stands for College Awareness Symbolizes Hope. And it's a wonderful program where we mentor kids from various high schools in the New York City area. And my first year, I was especially determined to beat Patrick's team because he had been talking quite a bit of nonsense about his strength and leadership for quite some time. So that was one of my motivations. Obviously, the kids, you know, that was important. But so, you know, we started with the CASH program a couple of years ago, and I remember in one of the first meetings, and of course, Tyrone, your voice, I mean, carried through the halls of the Lincoln Center campus at Fordham, and I think even the security guards and those across the street at the deli probably still do. But that was the beginning of our continued friendship, and certainly before that with the Black and Hispanic MBA Association at Fordham. But in that program, I really started to understand how much of an impact Patrick made on so many kids, and they really related to him, and whether or not they were in his team, they followed his leadership. But fast forward to the end of the program, which carries through spring, so around June time, we have this competition, and the kids are responsible for presenting, and they have to do the project, and they are responsible for their roles, and we as mentors cannot take ownership over the work that they produce. But my team won, and so I distinctly remember at the end of that saying, well, Patrick, my team won and your team lost. I'm better and you're not. And how do you feel about that? And he just shook his head and he said, you cheesehead, because I'm from Wisconsin. And so that was, yes, right? And that was prior to CASH, our long-standing rivalry. Our relationship was built on mutual hatred for each other's football teams. So I smiled and I said, oh, well, I may be a cheesehead, but let's talk about how many Super Bowls you've won. Which, I'm sorry, Chicago, I know. But I do love Chicago. I love Chicago. I know, I'm watching myself. If I go home with a few bruises, I'll understand. But anyways, but that was our relationship. And days before this saddening announcement, that's what we were battling about, the Bears and the Packers. And I will tell you that even despite our nonsense, Patrick has been someone who's gone above and beyond. He would send me notices on jobs that I would be suitable for, or things I should consider, because he would remind me that I was certainly worth it. And that's how he treated everyone. And despite our nonsense, he truly has he's taught me this is unfortunate. He's taught me what it means to be a person who is consistent in loyalty and dedication and virtue. And you don't come by that too often. So we're going to miss him at Fordham. And I'm just honored to have known him. He checked me on my nonsense from Wisconsin, and I appreciate that. So it's an honor to be here with our friends from so many different places. and to meet his wonderful family that he has spoken about many times in his small references at Fordham. And on behalf of Fordham, I was a student, and I also work for Fordham, and one of the things that we're working on is a scholarship in his name, which will hopefully be properly announced in the coming weeks and months. But we're really excited, and I think it'll be something that we'll get all of you involved with. So thank you for being the people you are and introducing us to Patrick.
This is Pix 11 News.
People always say, you want to give back a little bit once you've gotten a little bit of success in yourself. And I just finished my MBA program last year, and I thought, well, I don't have as much money to give back, but I have my time and I have my experience, and so it's been really rewarding for me. You mentioned it seems like a lot of work, and it's really not, because I mean, we have guys like Ronald here that we get to mentor and teach and talk to and kind of share our experiences with, and I wish I'd had a mentor like that when I was growing up. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like,
it's so true. You always wanted a mentor, so you feel like, you know what, let me go back and give back. I get it. Patrick, let's talk about you. A huge success. Yeah, you started the program 5 years ago.
That was
You making that much impact on her?
that was Pix 11 News 2 years ago. Yeah, 2000 and then 2011.
So my name's Martine. I didn't think I'd have enough courage or composure to say this or even do this, but Patrick was just such an amazing guy. I was with him for about 4.5 months before he passed, and he made such an impression on me in that short amount of time. He was always encouraging people to do their best. He set a true example for everyone. And looking at this video footage, it's so funny because he used to make fun of people like Jay-Z. And you know, if you're from New York, you know, you have a special place for Jay-Z in your heart. You don't want to hear anything bad about him. He used to say, you know, people like him, people like all these people out there, they can do so much to mentor youth and to do good and charity and things like that. And, you know, he just always just trying to set everyone on that high bar, just to do the most that they can. And I'm gonna miss him so much. And he has a beautiful family. And it's just too soon, but you know, he's definitely an angel, and you can't say anything bad about him.
You're our angel for helping finding him. We're very thankful to you.
Absolutely. He wanted to be found. He wanted to be found.
Yeah.
And we did that for him.
Yeah. Just wish it wasn't in this way, but you know, haven't needed him more, I guess. So, damn.
Thank you, Patrick. I know we got lots of stories out there.
I'm Simone. Patrick and I were Fordham classmates, and we also served on the Black MBA board and Fordham Black and Hispanic MBA board. We're also mentors together. I had the pleasure of being on a team with him, and it was such an honor to work with him in that capacity. He was so good with the kids. He had all of this extra knowledge, like he was a history buff, and he would tell them, you know, frame stories in terms of what had happened in the past and why it was so important that they work hard now. Some of the difficulties that, you know, some of us face in the workforce, and, you know, tying that with history. And I was like, when did you learn this in school? You know, why do you still remember it? You know, Patrick was always, he was so positive. He was so energetic. He was so just like a ray of hope. I always looked forward to seeing him because I knew that it would just be like this it would be so refreshing and that I would have fun. He brought fun wherever he was. Patrick lived a very full life. He lived better than anyone I know because every day was lived to the fullest. I swear he had the best life of everyone I know, anyone I know. And it's no surprise to me that so many people are here because so many people love him. And, you know, everything that everyone has said is absolutely true about Patrick because he was very authentic with everyone he came into contact with. You know, he was the same. And everyone kind of remembers him, even though they have their personal stories, everyone remembers him as being the same person as he was. And I thank you to his family for raising such a good man. He was a great man. And I'm going to miss him so much. He was one of my best friends.
Thank you so much. Obama, Obama brought up this morning or today a speech about helping young kids. Exactly what.
You know, we always talk about, okay, we're going to get together soon. You know, you just have to cherish those times that you have with them and know that he's in a better place and know that he helps so many people while he's here. Whether it was through inspiration or scholarship or charity, he was just a great guy. And, you know, I find it very hard and very frustrating to acknowledge the fact that he's gone. I thought all week that someone was going to call him and say this, you know, this didn't happen. And unfortunately, you know, we have to know that he's in a better place and know that he was loved and hopefully he's in a better place.
Hello everyone. So my name's Nikita, and let's see, how do I introduce myself as far as background? So I was engaged at one point to Patrick's cousin, who lived in Texas, who we were trying to convince to move to New York, because I was in New York, and I loved New York. And that's how I met Patrick. He was trying to help me on that endeavor to convince his cousin to fall in love with New York the way that Patrick loved New York City as well. Needless to say, it didn't work out with the ex-fiance. And I remember I came to know the family a little bit more. They're a beautiful family. They really took me in, and I'm really grateful for that. So I formed really wonderful friendships. Patrick had told me, he's like, you know, Vita, you're really cool. Like, whatever happened with my cousin, that's fine, but we're going to, he's like, as far as I'm concerned, we're like cousins. You're going to always be my cousin. So I was like, okay, Patrick. And I done Patrick. He's like full of life. He's
There's the guy there.
Oh. It actually just missed That was him. So, it's so funny because I walked in, I had just gotten off the cab earlier, and the first person I introduced myself to, I said, oh, I'm Lupita, and they said, oh, you're Jason's wife? And I was like, no. No, that was a long time ago. It didn't happen. Anyway, oh, there I am too. And that's it. Anyway, so I got to know Patrick since he was here in New York, and he told me that we were going to stay cousins, so I was like, okay, and I thought, oh, that's really sweet, right? Because most people will say that with the intention that we're going to stay in touch, but sometimes for whatever reason it doesn't happen. Well, not with Patrick. was just, he had so much integrity. And he followed through. I know he invited me a couple of times. At the time I was working as a,
but it's just amazing how many people he knew, and every time we went somewhere, the trip took 10 times longer because he got stopped by everyone. You know, it's like catching up, and I mean, he just knew everybody, right? So you're definitely gonna miss him. He was the best man at my wedding. It was just very, very special. Got German backgrounds and had some family from Germany come to the wedding, and they knew him, and they immediately, you know, were impacted by him. You know, Dale wrote emails and sent condolences.
Learned so much about that.
Yeah, we all are. Thank you.
Thank you.
So my name is Patrick also. I'm going to give the Cornell joke. Some of our friends here know. Because we're close, we're tall, and both named Patrick. I was the dark-skinned Patrick. He was the light-skinned Patrick. I thought it was funny. We get text about it, which Patrick, and I'll be hanging out with our friends, and I'm standing there, and Lisa was the light-skinned Patrick. So the biggest thing about Patrick and about, I mean, it's been a week. Unfortunately, I was there last week, and it's been a surreal week. And I guess my biggest thing about Patrick that I'm sure all you guys remember, at least for me, is you kind of just try to put pictures about Patrick. And even me and Patrick weren't that close, but just to explain the kind of man he is, I'm going to get to that. But the biggest thing I can't forget is just his voice. And I know that's one of the things I'm sure you guys will, that's all I can, this whole week, every day, work, home, thinking about him, thinking about his life, his Pat's voice, and his loud, his laugh, and just how he is. And that's how you can almost hear Pat, the room next door, knowing that he's coming in, especially when we're in college or any party. But unfortunately, the biggest thing and why, like, that's been laughing with him, not surprisingly, but the biggest thing about Pat that I can remember, and it's what I hold dear to my heart, is unfortunately my father passed away last August. And me and Pat, we're not, you know, you gotta think about how great of a man your brother was and your son is, that he's 3 people in the audience's best man. And I've only been the best man once. I have 3 older brothers, but you can think about how much of an impact he created. And what kind of close friendships, the kind of guy he was. So at my father's passing, I mean, I was there with everything, and that's what's made me think about for this week and what type of things you had to do in this week. And like even talking at the funeral and things like that. And the one thing I'll never forget at the end of the wake was Pat being there, who we're not even a guy, like, I mean, I probably talked to him then, and then we actually hung out a couple weeks ago, but like, he was there. He lives in Upper West Side, but there was a Haitian church, half the service he probably couldn't even understand, but Pat was going to be there. Because you guys all know the kind of Pat, the guy Pat was, just because of the kind of friendship we had. And the biggest thing that I'll never forget, and it's something I always think about every day when I think about my father, is, you know, my father was kind of a guy like Pat was. You know, my dad did a lot of stuff in the community. There was a lot of stuff in my church. We'd go back to Haiti. He had a free convention he'd hold at my church, and he'd get other doctors in the community involved. And what I'll never, ever, ever forget, the moment, what he was wearing, everything, of the entire week, or weekend of my dad's funeral, was Pat saying, you know, to even hear about the kind of man your father was, it's just, to even know that that was a person that existed like your father is amazing. To know that that was your father is like, you know, you're truly blessed. And those sentences out of his mouth is something I think about almost every day, even before all this happened. And that's, like I said, like, I mean, it's way too early for a guy like him to be gone. Because I didn't even know half these things he's doing. I mean, like I said, we're friends, but like to not even realize what kind of man Pat's become from when we used to hang out in college and you grab a beer with him. The last time we hung out was at a Knick game, actually. And, you know, you go, try to find a place around Madison Square Garden to catch up some more. I hadn't seen him, since my dad's funeral, essentially. And it was one of those, oh, next time. And to not know there's not going to be a next time with a guy like him. And so, but just the biggest thing, especially for you, because I feel like it almost feels like yesterday for me, is you remember all the big things, and you'll remember all the speeches, and all, but just remember what kind of person he was, and that I almost feel, finding out what he did in the community, so proud of him. And that's why the fact that he was so impressed by my father is almost as impressive as I am about Pat. I don't even know, some of my other friends knew that he did this much about, being a counselor and being in a community like that. He's not a bragging guy. That's one thing my brother never was. So, I'm proud to have, ever met him. I'm proud that, obviously we share a name, but to have met a guy like that. You guys had someone special in your lives. And again, I guess the only thing you could think of is the impact he had when he was here, and he's definitely gone to it. So, thank you, Josh. I was there.
It's 5 now. I'm gonna say we probably have time for 2 more stories. Chip. Good to see you again.
All right. Yes. My boy Pat. So, I'm like Randy. I went to lab school. I started there my freshman year of high school. Pat was probably one of my first friends there in New School. Bill used to make sure we didn't get beat up too much. So thank you. But, I have 2 biological younger brothers, but in all honesty, Pat was like a brother. You understand this probably better than anybody. We would compete to the death, constantly. We would rotate our birthdays, and it was, all right, we're going to your house, and we're playing Monopoly, we're playing video games, we're going to talk trash, and we had the cards, and you better believe it, if he got you on the cards, you would find out about it the next day. He would show you. Got you. You should make that deal with me. And, our love of sports and competition was just something that always kept us very close. To this day, it just doesn't matter. We can always talk trash about the Bulls, and I can't believe this is going on. And, it's going to be that brotherly competition that, I'll miss the most from Pat. He would always pull it out of us, and just like brothers, man, we were ready to fight. So, we were ready to go. So.
Friendly competition.
Yeah, of course it's friendly, but you gotta win, man. And he was always trying to get my Michael Jordan from.
My name's Josh. I'm one of the other guys that Pat, he was my best man at our wedding. I met Pat even before classes started at Cornell. We met and I'm trying to get some words from his best man speech to me. And we met and he said, "Hey, we look alike." It's just started from there. We were it was it just a great friendship from that point on. I guess over the past week, been reflecting on the end.
I just want to say he always talked about you, how much he loved you. The time when I first met him, he always brought you out. He was so excited to go to your wedding. He was like, this is the man I love. You know, he really, really saw you like someone to look up to and want to be. So that's why it's like, you know, we're like, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
He talked about you a lot. He loved you a lot.
Yeah, and you know, love him like a brother. And I was just thinking about the impact he had on me. And you know, I've learned reflecting through college and after college. He just really taught me that you know, you have to live for today. You can't really worry. I mean, you obviously want to worry about the future, but you need to make the most of what you have today and what you got. You know, I'm glad that rubbed off on me, knowing him, because I feel I'm a better person because of that. And it's sorry. He's a great guy, and you know, it's like losing a brother.
All I want to say is that Patrick's in heaven, and he's up there to help all of us.
Yes, we're divorced now.
So please know that he is still there for you to talk to and pray to, because I know he's an angel up in heaven.
Amen.
And I didn't know Patrick, this much about Patrick, and it's been a lovely day.
Really, it's great comfort to the whole family.
Since I talk so much, he never had a chance to tell me. I'll let you talk next time.
Oh.
Are you getting ready to say something?
But yeah, it's been a real blessing hearing all these stories, and I know, you know, we could go on into the wee hours in the morning. We do, however, have to leave here. Tomorrow is the funeral mass at St. John the Apostle Church. It's in the programs that have been passed out, and we're going to have a celebration February 28th in Manhattan. Details to come, but we want to keep this going because this energy that we got here in this room, it has not been spent yet. There are more stories to tell. There are more inspirations to share, and I'm excited. You know, a lot of his friends are putting it together, and you know, we're all working to. All the details are still being fleshed out, but this is a man that you know, you don't want to forget about him. You know, what he taught us in life, and what we're finding out more about him. You know, in his passing. Wow. I'm challenged and inspired right now.
You're a good man too. You're a good man too. You have a lot to give. You have a lot to give.
Thank you. God bless all of you.
Thank you so much.
Good.